Hey there, it's Steve from SeriousKeto.com, and in this video we are going to be doing a keto friendliness review of the July 2019 Food and Wine magazine. But before we start, if you enjoy keto cooking videos, product and ingredient reviews, as well as lessons learned from my experience with the ketogenic lifestyle and intermittent fasting, click that subscribe button down there. And while you're at it, click the little bell next to it so you make sure not to miss any of my videos. If you've watched one of my previous keto friendliness reviews on magazines like Food and Wine magazine or Milk Street magazine, you recall that I have 4 categories for recipes. The first is keto ready. These recipes are good to go as is. Next, we have keto easy. These are recipes that require 1 or 2 substitutions and is generally going to be something that you have already in your keto pantry. The third category is Keto Challenging. These are recipes where you're typically going to make 3 or more substitutions, and some of those ingredients might be things that you don't have readily available and may need a special order. The final category are the no-goes. These are recipes where either the main ingredient or central ingredient is just not going to cut it for keto, or you're going to need to make so many substitutions on this dish that it is going to change the fundamental nature of it, and it's not going to be true to the original recipe. So let's hop in. I'm a little bit spoiled by Milk Street magazine just sort of being no ads and wall-to-wall recipes. We need to get to page 62 for our first recipe in Food and Wine, and that is crispy crab cakes with tomato butter. These look quite tasty. And I'm going to call this Keto Easy. Just one substitution we need to make in here, and that is substituting in panko, or substituting out panko for pork rind panko. Then we have a trio of keto-ready recipes that come together in the double-cut ribeye with sweet gorgonzola butter. So that recipe is keto-ready, the sweet gorgonzola butter is keto-ready, and the heirloom tomato salad with pickled ramp vinaigrette, also keto-ready. Followed by 2 no-goes, the ham jam sandwiches and the blueberry Beaujolais jam, bread and jam, not going to work for us. Then there is the next level turkey burgers with lemon aioli. This is keto easy. Grab one of the recipes out on the internet for a keto-friendly hamburger bun or use a lettuce wrap. Kimchi fried rice with spicy shrimp and sesame sauce. If we substitute out the rice and put in riced cauliflower, that is keto easy. Pan-seared bass with garlic scape salmorejo. That is keto ready. And I don't know what salmorejo is. I hope I pronounced that right. Pulling from the pantry puttanesca. Because this is a pasta dish and I have yet to find a pasta that is keto friendly that I actually enjoy, I'm going to call this a no-go. Lamb chops with mango honey. Those last 2 words should give it away. Mango, honey, no-go. Strawberry granita with sweet pesto. That calls for both honey and simple syrup, making that a no-go. Wild rice crusted trout. Now, there's only one ingredient we need to substitute out here, but I think the moment we remove that wild rice, that really changes the whole nature of the dish, so I'm going to call that a no-go. We then have a very delicious looking recipe that I'm going to call Keto Challenging, and that is the floating islands with dark chocolate creme anglaise and toasted pistachios. We're looking at 3 or 4 substitutions in this, which is why I called it Keto Challenging. We're going to want to dial back the milk, probably in favor of heavy cream. It calls for both granulated sugar and powdered sugar, which we can substitute out for their corresponding versions of Swerve. And then the chocolate, we're going to probably have to make that a little bit darker, maybe go with a Lily's chocolate on that, but this looks pretty tasty. Here's another one that looks tasty, and I would have been all over this a year ago. It is sweet corn and bourbon bread pudding. I just started salivating just saying those words. It is, however, a no-go. Buttermilk fried chicken with pickled peach fennel salad. Initially, I was leaning towards Keto Challenging on this, but I think the quantity of substitutions in this, it's going to change the whole nature of the recipe and I think push it into a no-go. Blackberry and mascarpone crepe cake. Boy, you know, I'd love to call this Keto Challenging. You know, it might be worth a try with some coconut flour or possibly some Carb Quick, but I don't know that you're going to get the same sort of crepe texture. Oh boy, it's probably not worth the effort. I'm going to call it a no-go. Now, this particular issue of Food and Wine is one of these flip it over and there's stuff on the other side issue. It is the best new chefs. The first new chef recipe we have is spicy fried rice stuffed chicken wings. And as much as I would like to make this keto challenging, I think ingredient-wise, it's going to be too tough, probably a no-go. We then have soba bukkake with chashu pork and sesame vinaigrette. I'm torn on this one because outside of the noodles, it is a pretty keto-friendly looking dish. I'm not sure if Miracle Noodles would stand up on something like this. It might be worth the effort. Maybe keto challenging? This one looks really interesting. The Enoki Blooms. It kind of looks like a blooming onion with enoki mushrooms. But for the batter, it requires cornstarch, and I'm just not aware of anything that is keto-friendly that gets sort of that light tempura batter consistency. If you're aware of something that does, please put it down in the comments. I'd love to hear about it. But unless I hear otherwise, I'm going to call that a no-go. Cucumber avocado salad with gooseberry piri-piri. Now, I'll be honest, I had to look up gooseberries first on Wikipedia, and then I had to look them up in Carb Manager to see if this is a recipe that we could pull off. In the recipe, it also says that if instead of using gooseberries, you wanted to use ground cherries or husk cherries, you can do that, and I've got some of those growing out in my garden. So this is one I was curious to see if we could do. You're looking at about 12 net grams of carbs per cup, but based on the recipe size and the number of people that it serves, the cucumber avocado salad is 3 net grams of carbs. The gooseberry piri-piri, also 3 net grams of carbs. And then you've got the Trinidadian green seasoning. That's keto ready. The other two I would call keto easy if your carbs or if your macros are at a place where you're willing to do 6 net grams of carbs for essentially a side dish. It's up to you. If so, keto easy. Then we have doenjang cream cheese corn. Now corn ought to make this a no-go, but if we substitute that out for cauliflower and instead of panko use pork rind panko, this becomes keto easy and looks quite yummy. Ricotta gnocchi with eggplant and peppers. I'm torn on this one. If something like Carb Quick would work in this, then it's probably keto easy. But I don't know if Carb Quick or if coconut flour might be a suitable substitute for the all-purpose flour in here, if that's going to have enough consistency to hold it together, or if you'd need to add some, xanthan gum or something else to make sure that your gnocchi holds together. I'm going to call this keto challenging just until, I were to try it out and see. The roasted eggplant sauce, unfortunately, we cannot do because key ingredient in that is honey. Sauteed eggplant, that's keto ready. Parmesan mousse, keto ready. And that looks like that's going to be a total fat bomb, so good for our macros. Grilled black cod with herb bundles and elk spice. The recipe itself is keto ready, but a lot of the ingredients in this to put together the herb bundles are not things that are readily available. Some of them I don't know that I've even seen at a grocery store. So because of the difficulty, I don't know, it's probably not worth the effort. Charred cucumber panzanella with grilled steak. So on this one, it calls for sourdough bread, but you can easily get rid of that. It also has 1 teaspoon of honey, which divided by 4 to 6 servings is negligible. So I'm willing to call it keto easy. It does call for Wagyu beef, so this is not going to be an inexpensive recipe. Along with this goes some salsa verde that is keto ready. We then have jerk smoked duck with peach barbecue sauce. No go. Scallop crudo with mango and pomegranate. This looks really good. Unfortunately, there's no good substitute for mango and pomegranate that is going to maintain the flavor of this recipe. That's a no-go. Cambodian black pepper beef, that is keto easy. And then finally, we have this Bento Box, which has 5 different dishes that comprise it. The total time to make this recipe is 13 hours and 20 minutes. That right there is enough to make it a no-go as far as I'm concerned. So based on my count, we have 9 keto ready, at least 9 keto easy. There's 2 that are kind of on the cusp between keto easy and keto challenging. 2 keto challenging, and there's another 2 that are kind of right on the edge of being a no-go. And then 14 that are no-goes. So not quite as keto-friendly as that last issue of Milk Street magazine, but there are some very solid keto-ready and keto-easy recipes in here. And Food and Wine, honestly, it's a cheap subscription. It's probably worth picking this issue up just for a couple of those recipes. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If there's any of those recipes that you saw that you think would be an interesting video to watch me make, put it down in the comments below. I'll see what I can do. Thanks for watching.